All right. So what's up, y'all? This is me, Miss Conduct, and y'all know I like to talk a lot of junk. I like to talk. I like to talk. I like to talk, and I'm always funny. But today I want to talk about something that's kind of serious, that's not so funny, and that is minority mental health. And to help me fuel that conversation, I invited my therapist, y'all, my therapist, Miss Lakeisha Davis.
Hey, y'all.
Okay. And so what I want to do is just kind of talk about, minority mental health and, just things around that. So first of all, I want to know, like, how would a person know that they need therapy? Like, how would I know I need a therapist?
Yeah. You know what, Melissa? I think it's different for everyone. And what I'll tell you from my own experience is that a lot of people that come in, it's usually a couple things. It's usually they are sick and tired of themselves, and some things have like happened, and they're like, you know what? I need to get my stuff together because I don't like the way I'm living. So that could look like poor choices. That could look like battling with the same kind of negative behaviors. That could look like engaging in some, relationships that are not healthy for you, and doing it time and time again. Being able to look up and reflect and say, how come I keep ending up in this place all the time? So I think it really just depends on that. When we just kind of get sick of ourselves and say, I feel like I either want more, I need to do more, I need to change. And it's going to look like behaviors, thoughts, not feeling good about yourself, and then a representation of what's going on around you. Then I got a lot of people that come in as well that's like, my wife told me to come. My friend told me I should come. My friend, my sister, whoever. So somebody in their life is like urging them. They might not really see it, but the people around them are like, yeah, nah, you need it. And so when they come to me at that point, they're in a good enough space where whether they think they need it or not, they're willing to come and get
it. What you described to me is like times where I felt like I wanted to go to Hennessy or, smoke some weed or something like that. So the better alternative would be to seek therapy.
Yeah, because listen, I'm telling you, I think we could all go have a drink. We could all roll something up and smoke something. And the whole thing about that is it's temporary.
Yes.
So all that is a part of like escapism. It's this thing where it's like I'm going to temporarily numb the feeling. I'm not wanting to think about it anymore. Temporary. But you're going to come back to it. You're going to come down to your sober space and be like, oh, I'm back here again. So if you want temporary relief, for sure, go get you that bottle. That's what you want to do.
I love you.
Yeah, but it won't go nowhere.
All right. So how does a person find a therapist? And you're like, okay, I want change. I want change. Where do I go to find a therapist?
Yeah, I think it's a couple things. I think some of the best things is referral, like word of mouth. So being able to talk to people around you, whether it be friends, people you know in the church, people you know at work, I feel like it's a little easier that way because you're knowing from somebody's experience, like, oh, that's a decent person, or I really love my therapist. So word of mouth is great. So listen or ask questions in that way. They have advertising platforms. So you got places like Psychology Today, Zen Care. And so all you do is simply type in where you live, what the issue is. So if you feeling like, okay, I'm struggling with like depression or self-esteem, they literally have filters on them, Melissa, where you can go click what it is you're looking for, and then what area code you're in, or zip code you're in, and then all these things will pop up. Another space to look is if you have insurance, calling your insurance company. And then you tell them what's been going on, what you've been experiencing. A lot of them have like an EAP specialist who will talk you through things, understand geographically where you are, and then say, okay, here's a list. And based on your preferences, this is what we pulled up.
Are you able to filter on like an African American therapist or Hispanic therapist or white therapist? Like, are you able to? That's great. I think that's amazing.
Most spaces you can do that. You can do it based on your sexuality. You can do it based on your spirituality. Like, there's a lot of different filters in there to get your needs met.
Oh, that's good. That is good. So you don't have to talk to, for my women of color out there, you don't have to talk to 87-year-old Norma stall walker that can't relate to nothing that you're going through. So you can go out there, search for whatever your preference is.
Absolutely.
And that should be a good start. Okay, now what question should a person ask a potential therapist, right? Because all therapists aren't good therapists.
It's, and here she go, y'all. Oh my, this is what I deal with in the therapy session, okay? I just have to let these good folks know. But we have a good time. We have a good time. We laugh, we joke, but we take care of business up in there. But I think, again, we started with talking about preferences, right? So outside of your preference, I think it's important to know what are like my values and what I'm looking for. A lot of people, especially people of color, we're new to the whole therapy thing, right? And it takes a lot to say, okay, I'm going to be vulnerable and do something that we weren't taught. We weren't raised that way. If anything, we was told, keep your business in this house, and if you go running it,
I'm on.
Yeah, you know the rest. So you know the rest. So I think some questions would be like, okay, wanting to know somebody's background and history and experience in terms of what if they work with, asking somebody what is their view on the therapeutic process. How is it that they approach it? I think is huge. You might say like, okay, Keisha, how would I know what the approach is? You'll know when you talk to somebody and, for instance, somebody will call, I'll do a screen, and I'll tell them, okay, my training is in family systems and working on connecting the past to the present and stuff like that. And then I'll let them know, I am a pusher. I do believe in making sure that I do a little nudge and, things like that. So you do want to ask people, what is their thoughts on the process? You also want to ask them, how long? Like, what do they think is, how do they handle the frequency and the length of therapy? And it might be like, oh, Keisha, that's not a big deal. But yeah, you do. Because you want to get to know what the people are thinking. What are their thought process? If you're somebody who's going in and you have some specifics, like if it's a sexuality thing, you might want to ask them, what are their thoughts and views on that? Do they have experience in this? If you're from the LGBTQ community, ask them about that. If you're an African American and maybe they're not, ask them about that. I really do want to urge people, like, these people, we therapists, providers, we get paid for this. So you have the right to ask whatever questions it is that you would want to know. When I think about you, Melissa, I know you like, this ain't me interviewing you, but I want to know, when you were going into the therapeutic process, like, what were some things that came into your mind that you felt like you were curious about?
Right. So for me, the first thing I wanted was someone that I could relate to, someone that I could relate to, someone that I could feel comfortable with expressing myself and not being judged. That was important to me. Like, I really wanted to work on myself, and I felt in order for me to get the best out of that, I needed the best therapist for me, which would be someone that I can talk to about anything. And I'm so happy that I found that. I really did. I didn't know about the pushing part. I should have asked. I'd be like, Keisha, not today, okay? I got somewhere to go.
Could we not do that today?
Can we?
I think what Melissa said is excellent. Oh my God, please not today, y'all. Needing to know that you can connect, and sometimes it's not necessarily the perfect question for that, but it's more so of the energy that you get.
Yeah.
You can tell in like a 2 to 5 minute conversation if you're going to be received, if you're going to be understood, if it's judgmental or any of that. You can tell in about a 5 minutes. So I think it's more so, yes, questions, but paying attention to when you ask whatever question you ask, how is it being received? Am I being pushed off the phone? Is somebody able to kind of summarize back to me what I just said?
Right.
People will come in and I'll say, my first question is, tell me a little bit about what brings you to therapy. Why now? So they'll get to explaining what it is. And sometimes, Melissa, that could look like a 5 minute just rant. Because for the first time, they're in the space. They're talking and somebody's listening, right? So they'll say all that and be like, okay, I hope that wasn't too much. I was like, nah. So what you said is that you are experiencing a lot of issues around your mood and around your behaviors, your thought process. You find yourself not feeling good, and then you think about how it relates to your past trauma because your relationship with your mom wasn't that great, your father wasn't there. So I summarized
And it's
everything.
like, wow, I ain't even know why I said that.
Yes. And then people are like, oh, you good. And so that's what I want to urge people to do. Really
to
pay
find
attention.
Find that. Oh my God, it's such a good feeling when you find that. It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. Okay. Can a therapist help multiple people in one family? So let's say I'm messed up, my kids messed up, my man messed up, my grandmother, she retarded, my mother retarded, everybody retarded. Can you help all of us? All of us? Hello?
So
we all need help.
And listen, and that's where it comes
with
from.
These generational curses, child. Can you help us all down the line? My nieces too, the dog. Crazy. Can you help the dog?
So I think the dog is suffering from, dog depression. Poor baby. But, the thing is, I think it depends. So for me, I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist.
Okay.
So depending on how they come in, if I'm working with you first, I am in a space where I could say, okay, let's bring your significant other in. Let's bring your sons in. Let's bring this person. And then we can do conjoint, like family therapy.
Okay.
I wouldn't recommend you have a therapist and then I'm going to see your children. I would like all individually because ethically, it borders on, you're not making sure to protect that person's space. Okay. So what I don't want somebody to think about is like, okay, I found Keisha. Keisha's great. I love her. And now I'm like, yeah, I'm about to work with your cousin. Now, most of the time, they may not even overlap. You may not even talk about each other. But at some point, it will become a thing. And I don't want you, Melissa, worrying about, well, damn, I wonder when she talked to my cousin, is my cousin going to be saying something about me? Or is she going to share with something that I haven't really been ready to share with Keisha just yet? And now she might be looking at me a little funny or a little crazy or the head tilt or whatever. So we got to make sure that ethically we are protecting this space. So if you want to bring people in as family and we're doing that work together, I could. But I wouldn't work with you, your mom, the children, the dog. I wouldn't do everybody. So that might look like me referring people out.
Okay.
To say, okay, I have some colleagues who I don't work directly with and they're great. You know what I'm saying? They specialize in some of the stuff that you told me maybe these people might be struggling with. So therefore, I would be like, here go the information to refer them out. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So how much does therapy cost, and how do people typically pay for therapy? Is it expensive? Do I got to sell cocaine, on the side, or fish dinners to pay for therapy? Like, what can I do to get some therapy?
That's a good question, because I think for a lot of people that's a major barrier to coming in outside of I just don't trust anybody to be telling my business to. So financially, most therapists, we accept most insurances. If you got Husky, aka Medicaid, you are golden. You don't pay nothing. They cover everything full on up front.
That is great.
It is. And so I think depending on your plan, like some people have plans that are covered fully. They don't have a copay. They don't have a deductible. So that's, that's covered. Some people, you'll have to call your insurance company, and if you have a deductible plan, a copay plan, it might look like $5 a session. It might look like $30 a session. But there are also providers out there who will do a sliding fee scale. So based on what you make, so let's say you're unemployed, they might be willing to do some pro bono work. They might say, okay, how about $20 a session or something like that. So that type of stuff does exist. And when I talk to you about those platforms, you'll see the therapist will say, I have a sliding scale fee. So, yeah. But on average, usually therapy sessions are about anywhere from $90-something up. It just depends on the provider. Yeah.
Okay. So there are a lot of options out there. So, if you find a therapist that you want or find a therapist that you like, work with the therapist, right? To see what types of insurance they take, whether they can take a sliding scale. But, if you receive Medicaid, it sounds like that is pretty much covered. I think that is amazing. So, yeah. So don't let money be a deterrent from you seeking out therapy.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the end goal for folks that seek therapy? Like, okay, I'm going through some things. I want to change. How do I know when therapy's done? How do I know how long am I going to be in therapy for? Is it going to what am I doing?
Yeah.
Why am I here? What's about to happen?
Yeah. What am I going to leave here looking like? Yeah, it's, you know what? That's a good question. I think everyone, it differs. You know, on average, people are usually in therapy for about a year. On average.
Okay.
It could look like 2 years. It could look like 5 years. It depends on what you're coming in with. Now, where it might get tricky is when insurance is involved, we've got to prove that it's medically necessary for that. But take the financial piece out. One of the things that I tell people in therapy is, number one, your goals are your goals. I can't make goals for you, Melissa. So if you come in saying, I want to be a better version of me, then we can try to chart that out. And we're going to be looking at your progress. Like, wow, Melissa, when you came in, you look like this. And now that we're at this place, you looking like that. And it's up to you to be like, yeah, this feels good.
I like that.
I like that, right? So in that way, you're fully involved. And it's up to you in terms of understanding, like, okay, I still got work to do. That's on you. It's also on the provider to say, yeah, I think we can go here, we can go there. There's a couple more avenues that we need to go into. But one of my telltale signs that you know that therapy is starting to like kind of just
Work?
It's working. It's taking. Yeah, I'm like, that's a good word. It's working. It's taking. We have less to talk about in session. We have less. So I get in sessions, and typically sessions are, for some people, 45 minutes to an hour. There are people that at the 60-minute mark, I'm like, dang, we 5 minutes over. We still got tons of stuff to talk about.
Wow, okay.
Because there's so much to cover. It's 1 hour in a person's week. So not only are we addressing the stuff from your history, your past, right, from 88. Now we're talking about just your day-to-day crisis, urgent matters that are coming up. So we want to address that and then jump back into all this other stuff. So when we get to a point where it's like, oh, we still got like 10 minutes left, that's a telltale sign. Because what that means is Melissa has gotten to a point where she's taking the tools and skills that we've talked about and that she's learned, and she's able to manage herself outside of therapy. That's the point. Therapy is when you're taking what you're learning there and you're applying it to your day-to-day life. So now there you can take the training wheels, i.e. me, whoever your provider is. You don't feel like you need your therapist so much to figure it out for you, because now you can be like, okay, I'm worked up, I'm mad,
I got this.
Yes, I got this.
Wait, did I just handle that?
Yes, exactly. So those are the telltale signs where you're like, oh, I'm making progress. Oh, so year, 2 years, whatever. I've got people, we just started. I've got people at the year mark. I've got people coming up on 2 years. And I think it really just depends on what it is they're looking for and what I'm seeing clinically. That will let us know. But telltale sign number one is like, oh, we got time.
Okay.
So then that will look like going down to like a bi-weekly maybe.
Okay.
That might look like going down to monthly. I have a few monthly people, and then I'm working on somebody who's going to be checking in like once every 3 months, so like a quarterly sort of thing.
So when people ramp down, do they ever have to ramp back up?
Yes. Yes, it happens. And usually what it is there's some like either transition or something big that happened in their life. We do have to understand that the process of therapy is not a linear one. It's not, it's not this. Okay. No. I just ordered a sign the other day that said therapy is not linear, because it looks like you gave a 2-year-old a crayon and it goes.
You got peaks and valleys, hills and molehills.
Right. And it looks very chaotic at times. And so I would urge people, if you get to a place of having to scale, not having, but have made success and progress where you're like, okay, I'm scaling back, I'm bi-weekly now, I'm once a month now. If you have to go back in for like a booster session, or like, hey, I want to get back to weekly for a while, don't beat yourself up.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself grace.
Mm-hmm.
Because regression can happen, but also life happens.
Right.
And so maybe something that happened, we didn't address it in therapy. And
Right.
it's triggering you in a different kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
So now we need to work through that. And then you'll get right back to where you were before. No problem.
All right. So now I have another question. This is my final question for you. This has been so dope. Okay. In your opinion, okay, why do you think minorities tend to overlook therapy?
Oh, gosh. Well, I think it's a couple things. And one of the things that we kind of just hit on real briefly is like you keep our business in the house. So number one, that's a big thing. And that stems from a lot of time, historically, us not having the things in place for us to understand us. So when we go talking, what happened? DCF coming, police coming to the house, all this stuff. So whatever has happened has traumatized people to the point of, we don't talk about things. We don't talk about it. I think another thing is we have normalized what we've gone through for so long. So Melissa mentioned like the generational curses. So from mother to mother to mother to mother, for years we continue to recreate the same things in our life for just not knowing better, right? And so now we growing up where we growing up at, everybody on the street has similar situations. Nothing is out of the norm, you know, so everybody know there's a couple sayings and a couple things that if, you know, the street lights come on, you better have your behind where?
In the house.
In the house, right? So these things, I can say things and y'all be like, oh yeah, true, right? It's not a big deal, but if we're all doing the same thing, why would somebody think like
why
this is...
change it?
Right, why would you change it?
Right.
It's not abnormal. It's normalized in our communities. So therefore, I was like, yeah, so that feeds into that. I think, I don't know if it's overlooking this one, but you mentioned it earlier, being able to have a space and somebody who looks like us, relates to us, having a good experience with healthcare in general, not feeling like you're dismissed, feeling like somebody actually cares enough about you.
Right.
So all those things kind of contribute to that. So you've got historical factors, you've got cultural factors, you know, and it just hasn't been good experiences overall for any of us. And and this is a big one. I forgot. I almost let you get off here without saying this. Spirituality. Growing up.
Wow. Okay.
We lean on the Lord. If you got a problem, you better talk to God about it.
He on the main line.
He on the main line. And so our parents, grandparents, you know, so forth and so on, that's what they rest assured in. That's how they got through. And I'm not challenging because I am a believer. I'm a woman of faith.
Let's
so
talk about that.
I am never going to be like, oh, no, not God. Oh, yes, God. Okay.
In addition
to, we got work to do. That's just like saying we got the Powerball or whatever's going on right there. We up to $1 billion or whatever. Child.
How much?
$1 billion or something crazy I read. I don't gamble, y'all. I don't gamble. But that's like saying, Melissa's saying, yep, I'm about to win this lottery. I'm like, okay, girl, yeah, you want to win the lottery? So what'd you do? Nothing. I just, you know, I don't gamble. I don't play nothing. You know, I talk to God. God gonna make me win. So I got it. But Melissa, you just... A ticket just going to appear.
Right.
Because you talk to God.
Okay.
So the thought process is you can talk to God, but you still got to be ready. You still got to do your part.
You still got work to do.
Yeah.
Right.
So that means you got to do what, Melissa? You done prayed on it, and then now you have to do what?
I got to go get my ticket.
You got to go get your ticket. You got to study your numbers, see what synchronicities is coming up, and, you know, you figure it out. I know y'all like, Keisha, you ain't really trying to use the numbers. I'm just trying to make it very simple.
So y'all can relate, because I know y'all by y'all number. Holding up the whole gas station line.
We just want gas. So that's, to me, an example. Or another example, like, you know, we all go through our season of like, okay, I want to lose weight. I want to be a little, you know, healthier. Okay, God, take this weight up off me. Okay. Then I'm going to say...
She's trying to be funny.
This is my own struggle, okay? This is my own struggle. So I could do that and then sit here. And then somebody gonna be like, but Keisha, what did you do? Oh, I ate, I snacked today, I did all this. So what I really need to be praying is ask God to put some discipline in my heart, to ask God to put some commitment in my heart, to ask God to help me get up in the morning and work out the way I need. Like, that's what I need to be praying.
Yeah.
And then I still have to do my part.
Still got to get up.
Still got to get up. So
got to drive past Popeye.
Yes. Well, maybe you could have a little something, but you got to work out. Okay, it's a balance. You figure it out. You got to understand what works for you.
Yeah.
But I think all of those things that we talked about are huge. Are huge components of mental health not being something that needs to be addressed.
Right.
It's physical health, and that is all. It's physical health, and you go to church, and that is all. So, you know, I really would urge people to really consider taking, you know, a step back and just reassessing their lives, reassessing themselves, and just paying attention and being willing to be vulnerable enough to, like, just take a step out. If you go take your car to the oil, get an oil change every 3 months, why not take yourself in for a checkup to get that brain, you know, to get that mental?
Talk about it.
Why not? We
clean that air filter.
Right. All the stuff that we gotta do. That
the air filter in your body.
Yes.
Yes. I think that is amazing. Oh my God. Thank you so much.
You are very welcome
for this. And like I said, I just wanted to I love Black people. I love Black people, and you know, I love making y'all laugh. But you know, laughter is medicine for the soul. You know, we talk about that, you know, all the time. But also therapy, okay, is medicine for the soul. Cause y'all retarded out there, y'all don't make no sense. Half of the stuff y'all do, y'all get on my nerves. Go see a therapist. Get on my nerves. Lakeisha, do you want these people to have your number? If not, we could edit this out, but if you want to share your information, I wouldn't share. No, I'm being selfish. She my therapist.
I'm about to say, I was going to ask you how you feel.
No.
No. Okay.
But it's up to you.
But y'all can look me up on Psychology Today. Lakeisha Davis.
Don't say it. So listen, we're going. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this with me. Now listen, you are amazing. Like, and I hope everyone that is paying attention to this is able to see how dope she really is.
Thank you, Melissa.
If folks want to get in touch with you, can they call you or do you want to give out your website, contact information here?
Let me see. I think my cell phone number is 860-999-7240.
Now you see people in Connecticut only.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. If insurance is involved. Now, if you know, we could do out of state things, but it would it would have to be cash. But the bigger part of that is liability. If there are some, like, if it's just really some basic kind of, you know, I'm transitioning, I'm going through a divorce, or, you know, I'm getting married, I want to just work on some surface kind of things, that can be done state to state. But anything where somebody is really struggling, and if there are any huge risks that are involved, liability purposes, I cannot do it, because my job is to make sure that you guys are safe. Safety comes first. And if I can't get to you, that's a problem for me. So I just want to make sure to put that out there. I want everybody to be safe and get what they need.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Very welcome.
All right. Have a good day, everybody. Go get your mental health check.
Yes.